Okay, this is Scantron Test Prep 6, and we'll start this with parts of a circle. Okay, this is also 7th grade material, but they're simple definitions. Okay, here we have the center of the circle. We learned this word last week. If a line goes through the center and touches both edges of the circle, it's called a diameter. If you remember, we use the diameter to find the circumference by multiplying pi times the diameter. Okay, if you have a line that starts at the center or the edge, goes to the edge, we call that a radius. Okay, but here's the thing. Even though this is a diameter, from center to edge, this part is a radius. Also, from this part to the edge is a radius. And you could have a radius anywhere else as long as it goes from the center to the edge. But you can also have a diameter anywhere else as long as it goes all the way across and through the center. Okay, one more. If it goes from edge to edge, but it does not cross the center, it's called a chord. And that's spelled with the CH. Within this lesson, it's going to have you look at these lines as angles. So here's a quick review of our angles. This angle is called a right angle. And the measure is 90 degrees. When you have a fat wide angle, call it obtuse. And the measurement is more than 90 degrees. And then if you have a tiny, cute little angle, that's acute. And the measure is less than 90 degrees. Does anybody have a question about these angle measurements? Okay, one other thing that the test brings up is something called central angle. And the definition is it has the center of the circle as its vertex. Okay, and so a vertex is the point where the two line segments come together for your angles. So all these little dots I just drew, those are all, I guess the plural would be vertices. And then if you look back at your drawing, when you look at this measure here, this angle, the vertex is here at the center. So this is a cute little angle, but it also has a central angle because the center, the vertex goes through the center. So on this test prep, they'll give you a circle with several points labeled. Okay, they usually name them with a simple letter. Okay, if they name an angle, it'll have this little angle symbol. So angle BAC is what type of angle? So if you look, BAC. Notice it's
right.
a cute little angle. It also is central because the vertex is in the center. They'll have you name the segments. So segment BA is what type of segment? So from B to A. So we go from center to edge. If you look back at our diagram, when we go from center to edge, we call it radius. So BA is radius. What about BE? Segment BE, where we go from edge to edge and we cross the center. What do we call that when it goes all the way across the circle? Diameter. Okay, well, what about segment CD? From C to D. So we go from edge to edge, but we do not cross the center. The chord. Okay, does anybody have a circle question? Okay, then they have about 4 problems where they have you do some critical thinking. So I'll show you how to set these up in order to solve. The problem is kind of long, so you don't have to write the whole problem, but you will want to write the table. So we've got these 4 kids. We've got Bob, Ken, Lon, and Marcy. And they drew pictures. They each drew one picture. One drew a boat. One drew a kite. One drew a lamb. And one drew a mouse. And then they give us some clues. No person's name begins with the same first letter of the drawing. They also tell us that Marcy and Lon drew animals. And the question is, what did Ken draw? Okay, so the easiest way to solve this is to set up a table. Okay, so we've got Bob, Ken, Lon, and Marcy. And we've got 4 drawings. Boat, kite, lamb, and mouse. Okay, so once we make our table, let's go back to our clues. No person's name begins with the same first letter of the drawing. So Bob did not draw a boat, for sure. Ken did not draw a kite. Lon did not draw a lamb. And Marcy did not draw a mouse. Does everybody understand how we know those for sure?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's go to our next clue. Marcy and Lon drew animals. So we know for sure they drew animals. So lamb and mouse are the animals. So then we look at Lon and Marcy's names. So Lon must have drawn the mouse because there's only 2. And we already said this was a no. So then this is a yes. And Marcy must have drawn the lamb. Does everybody understand how those yeses are in place? All right. So now, because we already know that this is a yes, that she already drew the lamb, so they only had 1 drawing, so we know she did not draw a kite or a boat. And the same for Lon. Since we know he drew a mouse, he did not draw the kite or a boat. All right, so now, if you look, we definitely need one yes in each column. All right, well, we already have a yes in this column, so then this has to be a no and a no. Yes is here, so this is a no, and this is a no. And if you look here, Ken must have drawn the boat, because none of these three did it, so Ken must have done it. And the same with Bob, he drew the kite, because these three people did not draw the kite. And so notice in every column there's just one yes. Up and down, one yes, so we know exactly what everybody drew, and Ken drew the boat. So there's our answer. All right, and the last thing, we're not going to take notes on this, but I'm going to show you. This is posted in Canvas under the study guide. You'll have to identify shapes by the number of sides. So you have these numbers of sides. You have triangle, quadrilateral, which this could also be called a rectangle, pentagon, hexagon, octagon, decagon, parallelogram, polygon with opposite sides that are parallel and congruent. So if the sides are not parallel and congruent, then it's not a parallelogram. You'd have to go back to quadrilateral. Rhombus, a parallelogram that has 4 congruent sides. And then trapezoid has one set of parallel sides, and then the others are slanted.